What is up, everybody? How are you doing? I know we have kind of dropped off the face of the earth, but I promise, we were not beamed up with the mothership. And if we were, we probably wouldn't remember anyway. No, life happened this week. So that's just how it is. Our Tuesday guest had a last minute cancellation, and that is what it is. It happens. Life happens to them too. And Thursday, Wayne was under the weather, so we just decided to um scrap it, and we're just gonna start over next week because it's not about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you get back up. And today I've been about as useless as the G in lasagna. It's just what it is. So, but I wanted to come back on here and read the second portion of the vampire series to kind of end that out. And as you can see in my background, I have all these cute little bats. I mean, I can do without the spider right there, but the bats are cool. So let's get this out of the way here. If you have not subscribed to us, please take the time to do that. We are really trying to build our community, and we really want everybody to be a part of that. We're a great group of people, and we have amazing guests that are coming up, and you really don't want to miss that. And speaking of guests, if you would like to be a guest with Wayne and I, you can reach out to Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com or myself, Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com. And also, you can email me if there is a short story that you would like to hear, or something along those lines. You can always send your request to me through the Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com. I had somebody today reach out to me through Messenger, but that's always an avenue right there too. So while we are on the Paranormal World Productions train, head over to paranormalworldproductions.com, and all the other shows there, they work so hard. We have the Basement Hangout, Kentucky X-Files, that Bigfoot podcast is over there, and all 5 shows were released today, Friday the 13th. So absolutely head over there, pick you up some merch. And right now, if I'm not mistaken, if you go to paranormalworldproductions.com and you go to the merch store, I think the t-shirts today, they're $16, and the merchandise is a little bit less. So absolutely head over there. And I haven't mentioned this, and I'm surprised that Wayne just hasn't booted me out of the show. Head over to Manimal Research on Facebook. It's the group that Wayne founded in 2019. It's still very active, so head over there and check that out. I know he would appreciate that very much. Also, reaperapparelco.com. Any purchase made will receive 10% off of your order when you use the promo code Paranormal Odyssey. Reaper Dan again is amazing. If you would just head over there and show him some love and support as well. We are all working as a team. That's the only way we get by. Okay, so let's get through this. Let's get to this. All right. Terror in Big Stone Gap. A second case of a possible vampire in Virginia surfaced in the 1890s, soon after Bram Stoker's novel Dracula had been published, causing a sensation of fear. It occurred near Big Stone Gap in the extreme southwestern part of the state and began when a local farmer found 2 of his prize cows slaughtered in the field. This itself was not particularly noteworthy because wild animals such as bears and wolves roamed the woods freely in those days. What made this incident gruesomely unusual was the way the cows had been destroyed. Both beasts had been dismembered, with the attacker leaving only the head and hindquarters of each cow remaining, and both had been drained of blood. Over a period of time, other domestic animals were found butchered in the same manner. Suspicion centered on a reclusive European known only by the name of Rupp. He had been among the thousands of outsiders and foreigners who descended upon this rural area in hopes of finding instant wealth in the mines there. Rupp lived in a crude log cabin in the woods far away from any other human. He was rarely seen in town. Speculation arose when two boys came upon his cabin one day. Through a window, they saw the hermit sitting before the fireplace eating a large piece of raw meat. The boys said it looked like the leg of a cow. At this point, superstition and suspicion ran wild, and the townspeople demanded that the sheriff arrest Rupp. But the law officer had no evidence. No one had seen him kill the cows. Then, a few weeks later, the town drunk went missing. No one saw him for days. A short time after his disappearance, his body was found in the woods, completely drained of blood and with an arm and a leg missing. The site was only a quarter of a mile from Rupp's cabin, yet still no action was taken. When a second man, a traveling salesman, was found in the forest near Rupp's place, his body was also missing limbs and drained of blood. A number of vigilantes decided to take matters into their own hand. Armed to the teeth, they marched at night to the cabin. The door was unlocked, and when they entered, they recoiled in horror. The smell was overpowering. Body parts were strewn all over the floor, a scene that sent several of the men outside retching. I could only imagine that. Rupp was nowhere to be found. The men then set fire to his cabin, and it burned to the ground. A posse was formed the next morning, and the surrounding woods were thoroughly searched, but nothing was found. Rupp was never seen again. But ever since, whenever mysterious killings of livestock or humans occur in the Big Stone Gap region, memories of the suspected vampire surface once again. Creepy. Okay, the enduring legend of W. Poole. Of all the rumors, traditions, legends, and myths of vampires in Virginia, none surpasses the bizarre saga of a man named W. Poole, who lies buried in a vault in historic Hollywood Cemetery in Richmond. For decades, the story that poor Mr. Poole was an undead, blood-sucking creature who escaped his coffin late at night to search the city for new victims had survived with alarming perseverance. Not only was this tale widely believed by a large portion of the citizenry, but it actually inspired a host of Satan worshippers to gather before his tomb and practice their dark rituals, chanting mysterious incantations. This actually occurred to the point to where cemetery officials eventually had to surreptitiously remove Poole's body and relocate it to an undisclosed gravesite. That would be awful. No one knows exactly how or when this legend began. Supposedly, Poole was run out of England during the late 1800s for being a vampire. Details were sketchy, but once the rumors started, it didn't seem to matter. What is known as fact, based on cemetery records, is that he died on February 26th of 1922 at the age of 79 and was buried 2 days later. He was laid to rest in an impressive vault of white granite with little statues of goats and lambs adorning it. Additional research has revealed that there is a possible connection between the vampire story and one of Richmond's most tragic accidents, the collapse of a railroad tunnel on October 2nd, 1925. At least 4 men were killed, including a train engineer. Some eyewitnesses allegedly say they saw a creature, which appeared to be human, crawl out of the tunnel wreckage. Blood and gore were dripping out of its mouth. It flashed jagged teeth, had swollen and disfigured appendages, and had large flaps of skin hanging loose on its body. Yuck. It presented the overall appearance of a partially decomposed corpse. This strange figure was then observed heading in the direction of Hollywood Cemetery. Supposedly, some men followed the figure to the graveyard, where it crawled into the crypt of W. Poole. Was this the origin of the vampire rumors? Perhaps, but it has proven to be a false premise, making it more of a modern-day urban legend. What actually happened, as historians and writers investigating the events later learned, was that the creature that made its way out of the tunnel was actually B.F. Mosby, a fireman who had crawled under some railroad cars and managed to escape. But he didn't head toward the cemetery. As he reached the outside of the tunnel, he told rescuers to call his wife and tell them he was alive and okay. It was a gallant and heroic but futile gesture. Mosby was rushed to a hospital, but died that night. Thus, the theory that a vampire had feasted on human flesh inside the train tunnel was forever abolished. Gregory Maitland, who did extensive research and wrote a report on his findings, summed it up by saying, "We will visit Mr. Poole to pay our respects, but barring the discovery of additional information, we will not join those who suspect what appears to be an innocent man of anything as nefarious as vampirism." In ancient lore, the way to kill a vampire was to drive a stake through the heart. Curiously, 300 or so years ago in certain parts of Virginia, this quaint and cruel practice also applied to those early settlers who committed suicide. According to superstitious customs prevalent in the 1600s, stakes were driven through the hearts of some suicide victims and their bodies were buried at a nearby crossroads as a demonstration of public disgust. In the Westmoreland County Courthouse files, there is a document telling of such a case of a slave who had been found dead at a creek bed. It was suspected that he had taken his own life. The incident was reviewed by a 12-man jury on August 25th of 1661, which resulted in the following decision. Now, in this time period, they talked a little different. So we're just going to get through this, what they said, but I'm just prefacing that. "We whose names are hereunder written, being summoned and sworn upon a jury concerning ye death of a manservant of Mr. William Frex, who was drowned in ye creek near his master's plantation, do find that he hath wilfully cast himself away, having viewed diligently according to our oaths and conscience, and that caused him to be buried at ye next cross path, as ye law requires, with a straight stake driven through ye middle of him and his grave, he having willingly cast himself away." Well, there you have it. So, enough with the vampires. We have some amazing guests coming up next Tuesday and then on the 24th. So I ask you all to come back and hang out with us and just keep us in your thoughts and your prayers. And this week is over with. So onward and upward, right? So thank you for coming in and hearing this. And we look forward to seeing you on Tuesday evening at 7:30. So you guys have a good rest of your evening, and we'll talk to you later.